So hello everyone, namaste everyone. I'm Dr. Anita Sharma, basically a homeopath working with students, especially the competitive aspirants for the last 30 plus years. I have practiced in Kota, Rajasthan and in Mumbai also for the past 3 decades. Working with competitive students has given me a great boost to understand mental health, because that is a platform where it was so very obvious that everything was the same except the mindset, except the self-limiting beliefs, which was just holding them back. So I worked a lot, introduced myself to various healing modalities other than being a homeopath. I introduced myself to NLP, chakra balancing, emo balancing, body-mind programming, mindfulness, graphology, many other, hypnosis, many other modalities. And today when we are moving on to discuss the impact of social media, I'm just reminded of so many cases that we undertake while practicing counseling at a ICSE school, so catering to the needs of the students and the parents equally. It's a huge responsibility to deal with it, because in the last 20 years, social media has reshaped human interaction more than any other technology in history. Unknowingly, we are trading our mental well-being for digital connections. Like JAMA Pediatrics, teenagers who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media are twice as likely to experience anxiety and depression. And when we say this to the children, they say, no, I'm on the media on for 2.5 hours. I'm not doing 3 hours. So that's their take on this. When we say that it will give rise to the excessive social media interactions will lead to sleep disturbances and attention deficits and lower academic performance, they come up with things like, it's good, now we get time to study more when I'm sleep deprived. 60% of the professionals also, not only students, the professionals also are facing imposter syndrome and professional insecurities, thanks to the AI and the chat GPT, which is creating so many false claims and a jargon of things in the media. And as the Facebook executive, Kamath Fihapitiya, he admitted that we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. It is programming our minds, exploiting human psychology, and controlling our behaviors. Social media is not just a passive communication tool, it is an engineered system that thrives on dopamine-driven addiction cycles, algorithmic manipulations, and psychological conditioning. We scroll more, we want more, and what's happening is it leaves us with a lots of FOMO for digital validation and emotional exhaustion. So here we are talking about all these so very critical issues, critical because it seems just the tip of the iceberg that we are going towards. The finale is yet to come up because it has just begun, and we all will agree about it. So we have a wonderful panel of so many elite professionals from varied fields. Let me just take a moment to introduce you to the exotic panel that we have. We have Dr. Renu Goyal, founder of Kidicious, and she is coming all the way from Noida. She is a clinical psychologist there and working with students and professionals equally, striving hard to bring about a balance between the special needs kids also and other students also. And we will understand more about her when we are talking with her. The Miss Vedika Sukhamate, she is also a psychologist and founder of Adapt Wellness. She is also working very voraciously with student community also and professionals also, having great experiences here. Sharmili Agrawal Kapoor, she is the founder director of Atmantan Wellness Center and a pranic healer having decades of experience in this field. Also, this wellness center has been accredited, approved by the NB NAB, and it is a dream come true for her. It was her teenage dream which she had aspired for, along with her husband, who is a triathlon expert.
We don't have to speak about it.
We don't have to speak about him. Okay. So exempted. Okay. But it's a beautiful wellness center we all should check out. Vedika Podar, founder of Kangaroo Minds and Sports Beat Stigma also. So she has been working again voraciously with students, especially with special needs kids also, and the center is running very fluently in Mumbai only. You know? Yes. Richa Das, founder and director of Samaira's Blessings, and she is just such a beautiful soul, and her journey will inspire us so much because she has been an investment banker for over a decade, going towards her presidency also with elite banks, and after that she, when the news came of her mother suffering from cancer, she started exploring these areas also of mental health and how she can be fruitful in the journey of recovery of her mother, which inspired her, and she started practicing Reiki, and today she is masters, and she is also training other students for Reiki. So that's a beautiful journey, and I can so very correlate with her because even for me, it was a similar journey. When I had started my journey of body-mind programming, I knew so many modalities. But then when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, so I wanted to give her something which is absolutely very, very simple, very basic, and how to deal with those issues. So even I was interested more in that. Also, it was my personal journey also when I was diagnosed with cancer, and I have survived it for the last, this is my 3rd year of survival, so I'm 3 years old now. Thank you so much. So looking forward to a very, very interactive session here with the expert panelists here. Let me just grab a moment. So when we are talking of some of the questions which we can deal with, I just want to put forth some questions from firstly the education sector. So I would put it open for the many educationists who are there who are also dealing with students. So what can we do? Because this social media is impacting and it is here to stay. Nothing is going anywhere. So we have to stop cursing and address the elephant in the room that yes, it is here to stay. Now, how can we deal with this? Because this is causing so much of erratic behaviors in the children, so much of dependency to the extent of addiction, attention span is decreasing, academic performance is lowering. Forget about the relationships with the parents and everything we will discuss later. But can we just cater to the attention span and sleep deprivation and the influence that happens? So we'll start with Renu.
Good afternoon, everyone. So before starting, I just tell you the story. It's a very recent one, just 2 days back story. So what happened, I'm from Noida, and there is a society near to my society, and there is a girl, a 13 years old girl, and she left her home just in afternoon and without informing anyone at home. And parents were very agitated. They, spread the word to everyone across everywhere, every groups there, and they were very agitated what happened to her. Then somehow police and cops did a good job, and they found the girl in Ratlam station, and she was 13 years old. So when they asked her why you left that home, so she said ki I wanted to go to Mumbai. I took the bus from Delhi to Jaipur. Then from Jaipur I took the train to Mumbai, and I wanted to try for Indian Idol. This is just a 2 days back story. So she was just 13 years old, and you can see the guts. So what could be the possible reason behind that? A 13-year-old girl must be in 8th grade. So she must be influenced with social media somehow. There must be some influencers there, which got her influenced. Or maybe there could be the reason that she had saw a YouTube video where she saw like a person from Indian Idol who was saying some similar story, like how in young age you can become a Indian Idol or a famous personality. So she just wanted to show that to the parents, to the friends and everyone. So now come back to this thing about attention span, academics and all that. In my clinical practice, this is like, you know, these kind of cases are increasing day by day it's increasing. And if I talk about the term like in the diagnosis sense, we are seeing a lot many cases which the kids having virtual ADHD. We all know about that, right? So in virtual ADHD, it's not related to neurological disorder per se, but it's related to the, you know, children who are more involved in social media with reels, YouTube shorts and all that. So now the terms came like popcorn brain or TikTok brain, popcorn mind and something like that. So yes, the attention span is decreasing, cognition is declining nowadays, and we are getting lot of diagnoses relating to ADHD and attention deficit hyperactive disorder.
So Vedika ji, you would like to address, because I think you have been an educator and you are working in, you are teaching psychology and humanities also, and also you are with Oberoi International Ecole Model World School. So I think you can share much more in depth. Please share.
So while I have been a psychologist and have been dealing with adolescents since the time I started working, I've also been an educator, and I work with Oberoi International, which is quite a renowned school in Mumbai at this point in time. One thing that has primarily been very prevalent is that it's not just attention deficit in terms of physical attention, but it's also deficit in terms of them even using a device. So they are not even able to stay on one tab. So we're looking at a difference in terms of the whole diagnostic idea of ADHD also, if I have to add. It's no longer looking at being able to be attentive personally or physically, but we're looking at an attention deficit in terms of doing any task. Right? And while a lot of schools at this point in time, especially the international curriculum ones, have transitioned to doing a lot of work online, that's also contributing to this. So it's like this society that's a bit torn in the idea that we want to make them very well educated in terms of using technology, but we don't know how to moderate it anymore. And so the recent progress that I can talk about, which is a thing that we got in literally 2 days back, is we're trying to get in something which is called a Yonder pouch, where the kids are now supposed to put in their phones right from grade 6 to 12 into this pouch, and it gets magnetically locked at the entrance. And then while they're leaving, they have to tap on that magnetic entrance to open the pouch to then take their phone, because otherwise we're having them engage with a phone as well as a laptop or an iPad, which is the larger influence. So when we're looking at education, this is what the major changes is, very recent ones. And it's also taken a toll on the educators in a sense where now we're having to incorporate this thing called a brain break, which I'm sure none of us have heard about growing up, where educators are not allowed to teach for more than 10 minutes. So you can speak for 10 minutes. After that, you're supposed to make them do an activity or do something else which is going to engage them in some way without their devices. So the whole approach to teaching is also being influenced by this, which I think as professionals, it's becoming quite more challenging for us because we've never been in that kind of a scenario. So that's what I can add.
Also, I would just add here that it is, when we talk of ADHD, it is more of something which is hyper and more, which is their energy levels, the kinesthetic levels. Kinesthetic energy is higher than attention deficit. So the moment we are able to channelize these excess of energy and the hyperactivity of the kids, so I always tell the parents, there is nothing deficient in the child. We are deficient. We don't have creative ideas to channelize their hyper energies, so to say. So that's what we. And how can we channelize the kinesthetic energy when they are on the mobiles or the social media? They need to go out and do something and act so that the energies are channelized in a proper manner. So that's what I think we are just coming up to, that it is a vicious circle which we have to break somewhere.
True.
Yes. So, ma'am, Vedika Podar, so you are also dealing with similar cases, so can you just share some more?
So, as part of the work that I do, besides working in the space of mental health, is that I run charitable institutions in rural Rajasthan, which is where I also do a lot of our community outreach. And, you know, sometimes we feel that this whole tech addiction and this whole social media addiction is only limited to big cities. But you won't believe, so I just came back late last night, which explains Mumbai's AQI effect on my like breathing right now. But essentially over there, right from kindergarten, we've been seeing the most frequent complaint that parents have is that, you know, so for the younger children, it's like, please get them off a device. And as the children grow older, it's like, you know, how do we get them off of social media? And just to kind of take this a little beyond social media, but also to go into things like, you know, gaming apps, gambling apps, and all the other issues that happen there. We recently had a case of an 18-year-old who, he was about to attempt suicide because he had lost about 60 lakhs on a gaming app. And this is in rural Rajasthan. So, you know, just when we talk about the issues that people are facing and the kind of challenges that digital media, social media is sort of throwing up onto people. But, you know, as I think even my fellow panelists acknowledge that this is something that's here to stay, right? We can't live in a world where we say, oh my God, let's just ban social media. Yes, countries like Australia have already incorporated a ban for under 16s on social media, but I think where we need to actually move, especially as educators, as mental health professionals, is towards like a more mindful use of social media, along with having healthy boundaries, sort of, you know, being more conscious of the kind of content we engage with. So I think, yeah, that's one of the things that I think we need to navigate in this space.
So true. More about the professionals also. So I think at Atma Manthan, you were just mentioning the other day that you are having so many beautiful detox processes also. So can we just talk about them? So coming up to some of the solutions also, it's not always that the thorny paths. There are some rosy areas also, and how we can overcome these things, because you were just mentioning about how you are dealing with all these social media things, online also, like bullying also, and how you are dealing personally also, and your clients also, like the guests who come at the wellness centers, how you detox.
Right, so again, children really close to our heart, and in fact, this reminds me of one of our guests. You know, the child was 2021, has been to the US, been to every institute there, and the parents have 2 children. So it's not like they did something wrong with the second one. And, you know, the child has, you know, these illnesses which have no medical diagnosis. And it is all, you know, every time he goes to, he's even been to Mayo, he's been everywhere. And they've been telling him that this is in your mind. Anyway, he was at Atma Manthan. Number one, the sleep pattern was completely messed up. The child wants to be up in the middle of the night, not want to listen to anybody. And of course, all this social media addiction, all your dopamine, you know, hikes and everything is causing also this whole, you know, functional gastrointestinal disorders, which are then, again, because of the gut-brain axis affecting your brain, affecting
IBS,
your mental health.
Bowel syndrome. Yeah.
Doesn't want to live. You know, parents have everything, and they as a family came down so that this person could do well. It's prevalent. It's everywhere. I'm grateful that these are parents who are hands-on, and of course, like somebody said, the solution is always been in our Indian scriptures.
Yes.
You know, sattvic eating, sleeping at the right time, and again, I'm not saying that is the only solution, but it's a great place to start. You know, these are tick marks. With so many students going through so many emotional, you know, I mean, I always say that we had such a simple childhood, and I don't mean that in a good way. Our children are navigating with so much disturbance, so much challenge, cyberbullying. You know, I mean, every step of the way, like our parents used to say, when you go out, be careful. Here we have to tell our child from the second he gets up, be careful. Because, you know, you don't know what's going to hit them where. And, I mean, of course, you don't want to live in fear. So, we're here, we're trying to empower them, we're trying to educate them, like you said. Even in fact, my son's school has told all the 11th standard children that they won't be using iPads in the class. And that was a big uproar, that how can the teacher tell us when all the notes are coming there? They felt like they didn't care about the students because they were being told to write by pencil while the teacher was talking. I mean, it's inhuman for them. How can you do this to them?
True that.
So again, they don't understand the longer reach or the longer vision behind this. But, I think talking about it, like in this case, the 13-year-old you were mentioning, and again, not one solution fits all. But it is a fact, I think, gut, since we've already spoken about so many things, gut is something which really gets ignored from where I'm coming from. We do a lot of gut detox. We actually have a digital detox there where we don't allow cell phones in public areas. And trust me, forget the children, the elders also have a problem with it.
Yes.
A big, big problem with it. So we are checking people all the time, and we're telling them this is not good for you, and we know it, but it's very difficult to do it. So yes, I think children, if they see us doing right, the one thing I will do is put my phone aside on a dinner table. I'm not perfect, far from perfect. I'm just trying to do that, and hopefully, and then all I'm telling my son is, can you at least look at me when you're talking to me? Even that they can't do. She's talking about multiple gadgets. They have apparently sensory radars which are open everywhere, right? So they don't do it, but we have to keep talking about it. I still tell him, I'm not going to tell you this till you look at me. And I know he finds it easier to converse with somebody else than me. But I'm going to ask for that 2 minutes. So I think it's about talking about it and,
Absolutely. Yes. So just while coming, I was just checking the messages since I am not at school today. So my principal ma'am is, since the boards have started, 10th boards have started today. So ma'am is just reporting that I have seen that some teachers are still on phone. They are not able to get rid of it. They are actually doing transactions. They are buying and selling things. So it will be taken, stern actions will be taken against them. So forget about the kids. What about the elders? We are not able to do that also. And plus this, we just can't blame the kids also for that, because they have 80% mirror neurons. So they are actually going to just mirror you, what you are doing. Absolutely. So when the parents complain, so we just ask, phone diya kisne? So it just comes to that. But when we are talking about many other things like gut and sleep, so sleep, you were just mentioning that you are doing something great in the sleep area. And also, can we just have a word about what this dopamine rush is all about, and how this social media has become an addiction in the first place?
Sure.
So I would want everybody to just share, starting from you, Richa ji.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So I'm, ma'am was very kind to introduce me. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist. So I deeply work in the mind space, and as I said, from adults to children, and my minimum age of taking on a patient is 13 years. I've seen this very, very deeply. Now, when it comes to these hormones, let's call them the dose hormones. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. It is all connected. What happens is that the mobile addiction, or for that matter, the electronic addiction, starts firing our brain with the dopamine much faster than it needs to fire. And because it's firing very, very fast, what starts to happen in your brain is something like a conditioning. If you guys have heard of the Pavlov's experiment, most people are very, very familiar with it. You can akin it to be a Pavlov's experiment happening in your brain. Now, actually at the brain chemistry level, things start to shift and to change. Now, where does my work come in this beautiful space? It's not a beautiful space, but why am I calling it beautiful? Because brain chemistry is beautiful. What happens with things like hypnotherapy, and here I would like to give a plus to electronic media here. There are several frequencies out there, especially if you have heard of these frequencies called the solfeggio frequencies. If you've heard any of the great classical, whether you call it Bach, whether you call Tchaikovsky, if you have heard them, playing it out, that has an immediate effect on the brain. It can actually change the brain chemistry. We had a wonderful session some time back on Zen. You would be aware that there are frequencies out there which can actually put you onto a Zen state, get you onto the alpha, and then from there, very gently take you to the theta. The theta is what we hypnotherapists aim for. The theta is where you can reprogram the brain. So what I talk about here is it's about reprogramming this generation of people. And can we use the social media to do that? Absolutely. As they are clicking on reels, may we all contribute to many more such reels where we are talking about these things. And if they start listening in, somewhere the theta will get engaged. Somewhere through that music, even in the background, even if when you are watching a reel, if you listen to the background music, that's actually programming you. That's one of the things that I tell not just my clients who are younger kids, but even to parents. I ask them to stop watching news. You know why? Have you heard the breaking news music? Do you know it actually changes your brain chemistry? So this is my recommendation to the the seniors out there. Stop watching news. If there's going to be an earthquake happening, my friends, you will know it. So if you really want to catch up on a everyday
Especially
basis,
the first thing in the morning.
yes, and first thing you open it and it goes dish, dish, dish. You've been programmed for the day. Spend that 15 minutes in silence. Spend that time maybe doing something. And if they do want to pick up a device to do that, let it be a programming there. Some kind of a music that's playing, some kind of a thing that's encouraging you to go into silence, some kind of an activity which is being asked of you. So that would be the positive side of this media, and that is something that we can encourage in our younger generation. Because we can't get them to leave it. We have to join them and then probably use, as I say, subconscious programming to get into their minds to program it better. That would be from my side.
Yes.
Dr. Nindita.
And I'll just add something here. I just was reading it while coming. So I heard something about a dopamine system. There was a guy who was just explaining something, that a guy who is most able to afford the beach house is the least able to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Because the first thing that he'll do after going to the beach house is open the laptop, and what's next? Because that's the dopamine which is working on him, because he has been constantly training himself and feeding himself with just dopamine rush every time. So every time it is what's next. So every time nothing is enough for him, and he is just exploring the new areas which are coming up. And he says that dopamine says to this person is to travel hopefully is better than to arrive. So keep traveling, keep moving on. So I mean, this is so very frightening actually. So and also we are talking about various aspects. I just want the panelists, esteemed panelists, to just touch upon body shaming and having a fake image of self.
Can I just take that?
Please, yes.
Because this is a very real example and it literally broke my heart. You guys understand this term body dysmorphia. Okay, this is a very young kid from one of the topmost schools in Pune. I'm not going to name the school. And this child comes to me in the day when none of us are wearing masks. He refused to take off his mask. He was wearing a black colored mask till here. And he refused to take off his mask. His mother had accompanied me. He was not ready for hypnotherapy. So I said, just allow him to come and speak to me. And as he started to speak, his thing was, through the social media, he had got so influenced that he used to compare himself with every model out there, everyone who's out there. And hence he felt that this part of his chin area was completely deficit. And what he wanted from me was that I would give his mother a recommendation so that she allows him cosmetic surgery. And I have to compliment him that he looks like the topmost star out there. Only then would he be agreeable to work with me. Unfortunately, we came to an impasse. The reason we came to an impasse, and why is that body dysmorphia that was fed into him, was coming actually from his parents. Now, that was an unfortunate, and there was a deeper rooted problem. When I encouraged the mother also to seek therapy, it didn't quite happen that way. Now, why am I pointing this out to you? So the contributory factor, yes, of course, was social media, but there was a deeper issue there, which was there in the family system itself. Just wanted to add that this one case of mine literally broke my heart. He was a lovely child. He was just 16 years old. But he refused and simply said, I will not go to this lady. She's refusing to validate what I want her to validate. And that's where it broke apart. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, please.
So one thing that happens, like ma'am said, that while the family plays a huge role, what social media also does is it works on algorithms, as we all know. So what you like is something you keep seeing over and over again, and it creates something which we call as a filter bubble, which means that it's going to keep validating something, which then activates your dopamine reward system, which ma'am was talking about, which is basically a pathway. It's like that, that plus point every time that you press a button that you get in a particular game. It's that happening to your brain constantly. So that pathway is activated also when, by the way, people are in love for the first time or initially infatuated. Is the same system that's functioning, but now it's functioning on a daily basis. So that's much scarier. It's also a lot more active, and that filter bubble is then also going to create a lot of biases. That's also then leading to the dysmorphia, or that's also then leading to the body image issues, because then we're all saying that this is how everybody should look. That individuality that a person comes with no longer has value. So that's what I would want to add.
I wanted to add, is that okay? I wanted to add on the dopamine thing, which we work with quite closely. The thing is exactly, everybody knows about the dopamine rush and internet and social media, and obviously they work on the fact that they're giving us the dopamine rush, but people forget that there's an absolute low which must follow. That's your brain's homeostasis. So the minute you have a rush, you're going to have a low. And it always happens where you see, for example, a very big, huge wedding that happened in India, which we all saw. And a lot of us had different emotions. Some of them felt like, okay, this is great. India's on the world map. Some people felt, why am I not there? FOMO. And some people like me thought I was so happy that I didn't have to be there, but I could see everything. So, everybody has this. But then after that, everybody had some sort of a low. And it's what we do in that low which causes all this. The high is being fed constantly. And I read with this amazing Stanford professor who says that even money and Coke will run out, but social media won't. It's going to be there, feeding you, giving you that rush, boosting you on, and just imagine the lows that follow. I mean, we as adults have, we pick up the phone and talk to a friend and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm feeling. But what do our kids do? I mean, they're still figuring out themselves. And so anyway, I mean, I know this is actually, we need as much help as our children do. Yes. But it's, I think if we know what we're going through, we're at least one step ahead. We can figure it out that, okay, I'm close to addiction. I'm not at moderate level right now. So, I mean, yeah, dopamine, big reward center. And like you said about the beach house, they want to feed it. They want to keep giving that high to themselves, but a high will always come. And one more thing, I loved what she had written. She said, we've forgotten to live life the real way, with pain. And she said, and I love that she says that. She says that hard-earned achievements stay longer. They will stay longer in your memory. They will stay longer in your life. It's time to remind ourselves that we should make sure we do that so that then the others around us could see that.
Yes. So, yeah, you want to share?
Sorry, I just want to add something as someone who's worked with a lot of young people, struggling with eating disorders. When we talk about, like you mentioned, body dysmorphia, body positivity, and also just this whole low self-esteem that comes with social media. I remember reading a recent data point which said that, now girls as young as 6 say that they don't feel confident about the way that they look. So, when we think about ourselves when we were 6, we just had such relaxed lives. We would go out and play, we would do fun things, we would spend time with friends, we would not really think about how much we ate at a birthday party or any of those things. But when you think about a 6-year-old starting to feel that sense of pressure, I think a lot of it comes from social media, because a lot of parents now put their kids out there, or, children are being used a lot to create content. But also along with that, for like a little older age group, what's happening as, even as Vedika mentioned in terms of like just like filtering out content and how the algorithm works, is that you see that sometimes we sometimes as adults fall into that trap, that we forget that, everyone isn't posting like all the lows of their lives on social media. Like, it's just a small snippet, those are just highlights of their lives. So, when we see just those reels,
everything
we forget that's not real.
Yeah. Everything is
social media is, I think they call it the highlight reel, which people forget, right?
Absolutely. So I'm just adding on for that dopamine rush that we were just talking about. So I just use that analogy with the kids also, because that is happening so very much with the kids. In gaming, what happens? You are achieving different levels. Every time you achieve a level, what happens? Yay, you did great. You are doing fabulous. You are a champion. You are the winner. And then next level you are reaching. But what is happening in the real life? What are the parents saying? When a child does something, is the child validated for the efforts or the results? We are always focusing on the results. And what about the efforts? The moment we start acknowledging the efforts that are put in, I think it will be a stepping stone towards improving the relationship, the bonding, because I usually mentor the JEE and the NEET aspirants, and even to them, I always keep telling them, the parents especially, that when the child has the smile on the face, and your bond is strong, marks is just a byproduct. Whatever achievement you want to achieve, whatever academic proficiency you want to achieve, if you are sorted here, like if you are really having a good bond with your inmates, you are grounded well, you have that smile, you are content, you can do miracles. So coming to, again, one more thing that was just mentioned about sharing. So sharing, you just pick up the phone and talk to, that's what you were saying. What about the kids? So I tell them that मन की बात तो अभी सिर्फ मोदी जी कर सकते हैं, हम नहीं कर सकते हैं. बच्चों को तो अलाउड ही नहीं है, because the moment they have shared their inner feelings with someone, you just never know what that so-called friend is going to do with that sharing. Because everything is so very volatile nowadays. So that was also one of the things. So the journaling and diary writing is the resort, but they don't want to pick up the pen. So then they are just lost how to deal with their emotional issues and how to do a better job at academics and at life per se. But everything is not that harmful also. There are some rosy pictures also. Let us just talk about that also, because there is a lot which has come in after the pandemic also. The online has got a boom in this, and the social media has been helpful. Like we are here because of the social media only. So there are so many brighter sides also. So let us just touch upon those areas also, how it has been a boon. So I think Atmantan can say it better because you have been reaping the fruits of social media.
I don't like the association. I'm joking. No, joke. So I think no, Dr. Nita. No, the thing is, okay, like everything, everything is a yin and a yang, or a heads and a tail. Social media, obviously, we all know the positivity. In fact, I have a friend who's my age who says, Sharmili, nowadays I learn from my favorite teacher, which is Instagram. And she's somebody who's like a spiritual leader. And I loved her for saying that, because, we all, if we follow the right people, there is a lot of information, like, Richa was talking about. So if I think we can find the right handles, there is a lot, because it's quicker knowledge. It's coming to us in a prettier, like, they're called highlight reels. It's coming to us in a prettier format. So there are pluses, and obviously online, like, which has made, I won't joke, corporate life has become, way better. You no longer have boundaries separating us. You can get in touch with somebody on social media. It's not as intrusive as saying, call me, get back to me. You can just drop in a message, and, people will get to it in their own time. So yeah, there is a lot of positivity, and my business works on us spreading the word on social media and other handles, which I think all of us do. But we all bear a part of the responsibility. We have to make sure what we put out there is honest. It's not hampering mental health, which is huge, because as adults, I know I struggle with it. We all do. And I think women speak about it more easily. It'll take man a long time to come and say, and the good news is a lot of these men are coming to Atmantan, by the way. It's very, very nice. No, jokes apart. It's great to see men coming there on single holidays. And you're like, listen, you're evolved, because you're ready to talk about it, do something about it. So again, I think panels like this, where we're talking about it, embracing it, and yes, using social media for good. Hopefully, one day there'll be a great cleanup there.
Sure. Add something. And using social media for good. I spoke about Samara's Blessings. That's my company that I founded. And I have an online school. My school's called Samara School of Akashic Studies, which does not yet have a physical presence. Yet it has 700 plus students. Now that's telling you something. Why am I saying this? A large percentage of those students are very young people who have faced death in the COVID era, who have suddenly lost parents, people from their families, and they didn't have answers to, the questions of life. Why did it happen so suddenly? That was a huge trauma period which our entire world went through. And that's where I found online and the social media to be a great help and a boon. And a lot of people, I literally put all my services online. I was forced to do that because so many people were reaching out to me saying, I'm going to do something. And I'll do something to myself. I'm like, hey, can you get onto Zoom and just speak to me? So today I call Zoom a lifesaver. Someone needs me, I can give them a Zoom link and say, speak to me. I don't need to go somewhere to reach somebody. They can get onto a Zoom and just speak. And I find that to be a lifesaver as a mental health professional because that's created a difference. And what it also allows someone is an anonymity, that they don't need to come somewhere, show themselves up. They can choose to even keep their cameras off and still speak to me. Yeah. So there's
and
a
that's
lot of
also
anonymity
happening at the suicide prevention
Correct.
centers also. There are so many calls coming up anonymously every day, thousands, more than 10,000 calls per day. That's the record in Maharashtra.
So that's what I'm saying. So this is a very, very big plus of social media. I call Zoom a superstar, honestly, because I think the number of lives it must have saved, I cannot even tell you. So that's where I'd like to add that it's a very big plus.
Yes. I know someone who wanted to get plastic surgery because of Zoom. Because of the fact that, it's... And have you noticed...
Doesn't look good on camera.
No, have you noticed if there are 100 people, only the women are looking at women. Nobody's looking at the men. And we women are judging other women. And it's, anyway, so, all the plus.
Just to add to that, I think, so during COVID, I used to actually work at iCall, which is a crisis prevention helpline, which is anonymous. And I think one thing that was really great about it is that it broke a lot of barriers. In a sense that awareness and acceptance of mental health completely changed post-COVID, and that's something that I'm really grateful for, in fact. And ADAPT also was founded at that point in time. So it's also a space which really grew. It also broke the barriers with men's mental health. And I think that's something that's not spoken about at all, or is spoken about with a very negative connotation for some reason. And I've seen a lot more in that demographic change post this whole idea. And the normalizing of talking about certain things, the terms being used as they are instead of fretting about it, is something that's great. Kids actually now have the vocabulary to tell me how they feel. Yes. And that's important because a lot of times we don't know how to explain ourselves. Yes. But now, because I'm at least seeing it somewhere, I do have the terms. They've also become smart enough to now say that, okay, if it's not said by 2 or more people, then I don't think it's valid. So I'm like, great, we're somewhere developing that critical thinking ability where they're saying, okay, no, 2 people are saying different things, I need to find a third source. At least that source is available now. So that's, I think, one thing that's really worked well.
Very much. The emotional vocabulary has definitely increased, and the kids have started using, because even in healing we say, name it to tame it. If you don't know what you are feeling, how will you release that feeling? So it's so very important to acknowledge and improve their vocabularies also, because they are just seeing the reels, and their emotional vocabulary and also the linguist traits are going down.
Yeah, and even it is very good for the socially deprived people, especially ASD. So it's really good to have, group sessions online with ASD kids. So, and secondly, with my case, with my clinical expertise, I do use lot of games with my, kids who are not there in Noida, who are staying outside. So I used to play a lot of games which have reading comprehension, reading phonetics and all that, memory. So there are a lot of benefits of social media, per se, as per.
Yes.
That. Yeah.
Sorry.
I just want to add, like, as someone who works in, rural communities in particular, I think social media really helps us in terms of outreach. Absolutely. Because one thing that's happened now is, even over there, everyone has a smartphone.
Yes.
So, like, even if, as even Richa ma'am said, a lot of our work at Kangaroo Minds purely functions virtually. And in those years of the pandemic, it was really, really helpful to reach out to people. And even now, like, if I can move between to places is because I know I can take, virtual sessions, I can be present, and also just using that power of online, of social media to communicate the right message. So I think that's what's really important, what is
Yes.
the message that we're actually transmitting to the audience.
Yes. So some of the even tech experts like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, like Sean Parker, Elon Musk, Sundar Pichai, like all of them, they have been saying and acknowledging that you have to limit they themselves have limited their own children the access to gadgets and all that stuff. They have designed that how to de-addict themselves and their kids. They warn about the negative effects. So all this is going on online also. So they are also in that pursuit. There are so many celebs who have, taken a detox vacation, like like Kylie Jenner, Elon Musk, Kim Kardashian, and so many people. They have, they actually announce nowadays that yes, they are on a digital detox now, and they want to move away from, and they'll be not available for so and so period of time. Even the normal people, like they are having these detox nowadays. They very proudly, announce these things also.
It's become cool to detox.
It's cool, yes, it's
Yeah.
cool now. So yes,
I
all
was-
is not lost now.
I was reading just something today, where the whole world, the latest trend is analoguing on, where is Gen Z and millennials. I'm not a millennial, but at least Gen Z, a lot of them are now looking at going back in time and going to simpler devices,
Yes.
without, and going black and white.
Yes.
So now it's going to
Even
get
the
cooler.
kids, nowadays the kids ask for that button wala phone.
Yes,
वो वाला
exactly.
चाहिए
So,
उनको.
I mean, it's
Yes.
our job to make sure they look cool and continue with this
Yes,
trend.
yes.
And sorry, one stat I had to share, which was very interesting. You said that they were using 3 hours a day, right? The
Yes,
children were.
3 hours.
I read that in 2023, people, the kids, or I think adults, they were spending 2.1 hours a day, and in 2024, we're all spending 4.8 hours. In 1 year, it's doubled. I don't know what's going to happen next year.
Next year, yes.
But yeah.
It's scary.
The fun part is I've also started seeing people carrying the cameras again. The cameras have come back. The
time,
small
yeah.
cameras are
Yes.
back in fashion, so to say.
Yes.
The analoguing is back. Yes, the block camera. So those are smaller shifts that we're seeing going back to it. But yes, detox is the new cool. The minute you say that you're doing a detox is considered as your woke, so to say. So that's the new
So
thing.
quickly, we are just winding up. So I just want to understand, like, what is one personal habit or a strategy that you are using for yourself personally, or for your endeavor, your entrepreneurship, whatever you are doing. So what has been helpful with social media? So all is well when it ends well. Let's do that way.
First of all, be mindful what you are seeing, what you are doing. And secondly, the one habit I do with my kids, this is our family ritual. We play a game, a family game, like maybe cards or Scrabble or Ludo, just before sleep. And we keep our phone away, maybe in another room at that time, and during the sleep as well. So that's it.
I think moderation is key, and I think everybody in this room will also agree that it's with anything and everything. One thing that is a change that I've had to make is my work phone has become separate and my personal phone's become separate. And along with that, it's once I walk out of my workplace, I do not touch the phone. So I'm home, and that means I'm home, and post 7 o'clock, I'm not looking at it at all.
Awesome. You have 2 phones though. So as long as it's working. Addiction is 50% is genetic and 50% is environmental. So we have to be kind to people who are feeling addicted and doing it. It's not as easy for everyone. Just because somebody else does it doesn't mean the other person can do it. So yeah, compassion. I think for me, what we're doing is, we've been speaking about wellness for a long, long time in the house. But what we do is simple things. Our phone is never next to our bed. We make sure it's at least 10 to 15 steps away, and you're consciously putting that down before you turn in. Also the lights, making sure the bright lights are not on. So we have a sleep hygiene we're working on. At least that's what I'm working on in a big way. I'm somebody who's naturally a night owl. So for me to turn in at 11 o'clock is like a really good start. So, so the idea is
Good
that
start, yeah.
trying to incorporate sleep, because again, it ties in, and social media and mental health, again, huge connection, guys. With the whole brain axis and everything with your, serotonin, 80% of it being produced in your gut. So again, how you eat your meals and how you plan your sleep time, as long as there's a routine around it. I'm trying, I fail on many days, but it's the days I win, which I feel really great about.
Yeah. I'll just share something very quickly. There is a beautiful video of Mahadevan, R. Mahadevan, on the way you eat. So he has explained it so beautifully. He has explained it from when he learned from others. So, but he explained it so simply that what you eat, you become, and that's what you do and you get. So everything is connected, and he was just blown away by the fact, how is it possible if what I'm eating will decide what I'm becoming, what I'm getting in life? And the way he explained it was very nice. So if you can just get hold of that video, it will be nice. Yeah.
Firstly, what Vedika also said, my work phone and my personal phone are two separate phones. So if I don't get back to anyone, you know now why. But I love that you mentioned the, you are what you eat, because the similar thing that I always tell young people and even adults is, you are also the data and the information and the content that you consume. So one of the things that I do very consciously is I use that whole mute, block, unfollow very liberally, knowing that it exists for a reason. It wasn't created without an intention, right? So why not just use it? Like, be more mindful of the content that you consume. Be more mindful of what you let into your, inner space as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much, all esteemed panelists, all wonderful suggestions. I'm coming back to brain chemistry and reprogramming, and I actively work on it, and this is a part of my sleep hygiene and continues to be so. I've been with Reiki for 31 years now. I started very young. I was 18 when I started. And Reiki has music designed for Reiki. So what I do as a part of my sleep hygiene, and I encourage my 15-year-old son to come along with me, is that we play the Reiki music, we shut the lights, the phone is at the side, it's just playing the music, so it's being used as a music device. And we sit for that 8-9 minutes of silence and Reiki. So yes, it is being used very positively, and that music has a reprogramming effect. And over a period of time, it does make a huge difference. So that's something that I'm using very actively. So I would encourage all of you also to do a little bit of fact finding. For me, YouTube is an absolute treasure. It's an absolute treasure. Please do solfeggio frequencies. Please do music or subliminal music which is designed to calm your brain down. There is music out there which is binaural in nature. Please, look at different tracks, and that can help you not only just to fall asleep much faster. So now I'm that way very happy with this aspect of social media. So that's the 2 penny worth of wisdom from me. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you so much, the esteemed panelists. It was really wonderful that you have been sharing your nuggets of wisdom with us. And I think we are much more better than what we were before the panel discussion. So let's hear it for the panelists. Thank you so much.